At 71 years old, John Travolta just made a choice that really scared his best friends. After his wife Kelly died in 2020 and his son Jet died years ago, he felt different inside. In 2025, he began saying goodbye in ways that made everyone around him very worried. He has been giving away personal things that used to mean the world to him. He even filmed what he calls his very last message to his fans. His family is frightened. The fake news stories about his death this year were not just accidents. There is a secret he is keeping from all of us. What John found out about his own future will make you feel very sad. John Travolta was born on February 18, 1954 in a place called Inglewood, New Jersey. He was the youngest of 6 children in his big family. His dad, Salvatore, ran a small tire shop and worked hard to pay all the bills. His mom, Helen, took care of the house, taught acting, and had her own dreams of being a star. John watched her practice with bright eyes, and at age 12 he felt a pull toward acting too. One play at school made it very clear what he wanted to do. He walked onto the stage, moved with a special energy, and the crowd cheered loudly. That loud sound felt like a giant door opening up for his future. The family did not have much money, but they had music, noise, and lots of stories. This was true when Helen practiced shows like The Sound of Music in the living room. John took it all in like he was breathing it into his soul. Those times changed him, giving him hope even though their house was small and money was tight. Growing up in a house full of music meant it was never quiet inside. Helen's practice sessions filled every room with songs from famous plays. John would join in without anyone even asking him to. He danced, sang, copied movements, and made funny faces for everyone to see. The neighbors sometimes looked through the window just to watch the little kid in the room. Even though he was the youngest and sometimes ignored, his mom always cheered him on. Whenever he felt alone or sad, he used music to feel better. He let the beat of the songs wash away all of his big worries. He even said more than once that those living room shows truly saved his life. The house was not fancy, but art was everywhere, pushing him toward a big future. School felt very different and much harder for him. John was teased a lot because he was skinny and had a stutter when he spoke. Other kids called him Pinky because his skin was very light. They made fun of his voice and his walk, making him want to hide every single day. At home, he acted out little stories for his siblings to turn his hurt into fun. Acting helped him feel calm and forget about the mean things kids said at school. His mother saw his pain and told him to join the theater to use that energy. By high school, when he walked onto a stage, he became a totally different person. People watched him like he was the most important thing in the whole room. What used to feel like a weakness was now becoming a very strong power. His first big moment happened when he was only 12 years old. Helen directed a play for the town and gave him a very small part to play. The job was simple, but when he walked out, everything felt different for him. He added funny jokes and changed his voice in ways that were not in the book. The crowd laughed and clapped so much that he stood there feeling very surprised. They even stood up to cheer for him, which almost never happened to kids. That night told him exactly what he was supposed to do with his life. He kept that happy feeling with him for a long time to help him keep going. At age 16, he decided to take an even bigger step forward. He quit high school even though his mom and dad asked him to stay. He packed a small bag, took his little bit of money, and moved to New York City. He stayed in a cheap room for $1 a night and worked any job he could find. He washed dirty dishes, delivered flowers, and cleaned up for anyone who needed help. He took acting classes for free during the day, even in rooms he wasn't invited to. At night, he went to his tiny bed and told himself to make it through one more day. He never let his sadness stop him from trying his best. He believed that working hard would eventually lead him to something great. Then Helen helped him find a special acting school to learn how to use his voice. His teacher, Dan Sullivan, saw that John had a very natural and real talent, but he warned John that being talented was not enough to be successful. He said the acting world would be mean if John didn't learn to be tough. John listened closely because the training was very hard and full of feelings. He learned how to move his body and finally stopped stuttering when he spoke. When he finished school, he kept his teacher's warning in his mind as a reminder. He used it to stay humble, even when he became a very big star later on. At 16, the same year he moved, he got his first job that actually paid money. He made $75 a week acting in a play called Bye Bye Birdie. The stage was tiny and the back rooms were very crowded for the actors. But every night he learned new things about how to be a better actor. He learned his lines and watched older actors to see how they moved the crowd. Being in a show in New York gave him the confidence he really needed. Those months helped him feel like he finally belonged in the world of fame. 2 years later in 1972, he got a part in another play with a famous actress. The show closed after only 2 weeks because people did not like it. Suddenly he had no money and had to sleep on benches in the park. The pain of having nothing stayed in his memory for a very long time. It taught him how fast fame can go away and leave you with nothing. Still, he went to more trials for acting jobs and refused to give up. Then he went on a trip across the country for the play Grease in 1973. He had a small part, but it gave him the chance to be funny on stage. He made up his own dance moves that made the rest of the actors laugh. Traveling was hard, but he learned how to perform every night in different cities. The long bus rides and working with friends helped him get better at his job. That trip helped him get noticed so he could get much bigger parts later. He made it to the biggest stages in New York in 1974 with a hit show. The show happened 341 times and was the most popular musical of the year. He sang with a high voice that many people did not know he had. He was very nervous at first, but once he started, he felt right at home. The success of this show helped him meet other famous actors and move to Hollywood. In that same year, he tried out for more than 50 television commercials. He got jobs selling soda and car parts and started making $500 every day. For the first time in his life, he felt like he had enough money. He moved into his own small apartment in a part of New York called Hell's Kitchen. Those commercials kept him fed so he could keep trying to be a movie star. In 1975, he tried out for a play called Godspell but messed up the song. He did not get the part, and he felt very sad about failing. It made him think about how he needed to practice much harder. He started working with a famous acting coach named Milton. Milton made him look deep inside to find real feelings for his acting. Failing that one job became one of the most important lessons he ever learned. Then he went to an audition that changed his whole life. It was for a TV show called Welcome Back, Kotter. He almost missed it because he was going to take a different job for the money. A nice lady helped him get a small movie part just so he could pay his bills. When he walked into the TV audition, he was sweaty and chewing gum. But the moment he started acting like the character Vinny, he was amazing. The people in charge could not stop watching him because he was so good. By May 1976, he was one of the most famous young people on TV. Kids started walking like him and wearing shirts with his face on them. Before his big show even started, he was on a show called Emergency. He had been on that show before when he was just a teenager. But this time, he used real feelings from his own life to act his part. The people in charge saw that he was a very deep and talented actor. Then he made a movie called The Boy in the Plastic Bubble in 1976. He played a boy who had to live in a bubble because he could get sick easily. The story was based on a real boy who had to live away from other people. The movie was a huge hit when it was shown on television. While making it, John became very close friends with the lady who played his mom. When she died of a sickness soon after, John felt very, very sad. That loss changed how he looked at life and how he acted in movies. John Travolta went to try out for Saturday Night Fever with a lot of pressure. Still, there was something about him that made everyone want to watch him. More than 200 actors tried for the part, but John had a special way of walking. He had practiced a certain cool walk he saw on a different TV show. When he walked into the room, the director knew John was the perfect choice. That cool walk became the most famous thing about his character, Tony. Before this, people only knew him from his funny TV show. But Saturday Night Fever made him a giant superstar almost overnight. He was the youngest person to be nominated for a big award since 1932. He was only 23 years old when he signed a deal to make 3 movies for $1 million. That was a huge amount of money for a young actor back in 1976. A year later, they filmed the famous dance scenes in a real dance club in Brooklyn. The lights were very hot and the crowd was very loud while they worked. The director made them do the same dance scenes over 100 times to get it right. John kept spinning until his knees were actually bleeding on the hard floor. The lady who picked the clothes found Hi's white suit at a regular store. This made the character look like a real person who didn't have much money. Then the music for the movie came out and everyone loved it. The songs by a group called the Bee Gees became famous all over the world. The album sold 40 million copies, making it one of the best-selling ever. The music stayed at the top of the charts for about half a year. The songs matched John's character perfectly and made the dancing look great. When the movie first showed in a big theater, the crowd outside was huge. Inside the theater, the movie became a massive success very quickly. By the end of 1978, it had made hundreds of millions of dollars. John was nominated for a very big award called an Oscar when he was only 23. 3 years later, 200 million people watched the movie on their TVs at home. Even with all this fame, John said no to $1 million to sell products. He was afraid people would only think of him as a disco boy forever. While making the movie, there was real danger and fighting in the clubs. The things he saw helped him act out the darker parts of the story. He was afraid of being stuck in the same kinds of roles over and over. That fear helped him decide which jobs to take and which to skip. After his big dance movie, people thought he would say yes to everything. Instead, he said no to a funny movie because he wanted to be a serious actor. He took the money he earned and made his own music album. His album became popular and had many different kinds of songs on it. He was trying to show that he could grow as an artist without burning out. Then it was time for the movie Grease. John had already played the character Danny on stage years before. When the bosses thought about hiring a different actor, John showed them his skills. He sang the famous songs Live and showed them he was the best choice. The leading lady, Olivia, helped him with his singing and he got the job. They started filming in the summer of 1977 at a real high school. John's dancing and his new fame made his character Danny a legend. One day, they filmed a big dance scene on a beach with 500 other people. John made up many of his own dance moves while the cameras were rolling. He even hurt his hand that day, but he kept acting through the pain. The excitement of that day made the movie feel very special to watch. Grease came out in 1978 and became a giant hit at the theaters. It made a huge amount of money compared to how little it cost to make. John was paid $2.5 million, which was the most any actor made then. People whispered that he and Olivia were dating in real life, but he said no. The movie turned him from just a regular star into a true legend. Behind all the smiling and dancing, something very sad was going on. John found out his mom, Helen, had a very bad sickness called cancer. She didn't tell him at first because she didn't want him to worry while working. He finished his movie while he was feeling very sad in his heart. His mom died in 1978, and John said that sadness showed in his acting. Even though he was hurting, he kept working and everyone respected him for it. He also had a hit song called Let Her In that same year. It was #1 in the UK for 7 weeks and was very popular in America. The TV station wanted to give him his own special show, but he was too busy. That song is still his only big hit song where he sings by himself. That same year, he was asked to be the superhero Superman. Another actor took the part, but John later felt bad about saying no. The Superman movie made a lot of money and was a very big deal. If he had said yes, his whole life might have been very different. In 1980, he made a movie called Urban Cowboy and worked very hard. He spent months learning how to ride a big bull from real cowboys in Texas. During practice, he was thrown off so hard that his legs went numb. The workers were scared, but John told them to keep filming anyway. He actually had a broken ankle, but he wanted the movie to look real. Fans could tell he was being brave and they liked the movie for it. In 1981, he acted in a movie about a scary mystery. The director needed a very real scream for a big scene, but nothing sounded right. John used what he learned in acting school to make a scream that was perfect. It became one of the most famous parts of the whole movie. In 1983, he returned to play his disco character Tony one more time. This time, he was also one of the bosses in charge of the movie. He argued with another famous actor, Sylvester Stallone, about the story. The arguing made the work slow down, but the movie still made money. Even though critics didn't like it, fans still loved seeing John dance. John thought he was making a simple movie in 1985, but it became a big mess. He played a reporter who was fighting in court over some secret tapes. This felt real to him because he was also fighting a real battle in court. He was fighting a movie compare. And why? Because they didn't pay him his fair share. The movie didn't make much money and people said bad things about it. But his real-life stress made his acting in that movie look very interesting. 4 years later, everything changed for the better again. He took a part in a funny movie called Look Who's Talking. It was a simple movie about a talking baby and nobody thought it would be a hit. But the movie surprised everyone and made a huge amount of money. Before this, John didn't have any good job offers and his fame was fading. He and Bruce Willis had a lot of fun together making the movie. That fun made people love the movie and John was a star once again. But that same year, he had more trouble with a former manager. He was sued for a lot of money and accused of taking things that weren't his. The case ended, but it showed that John hadn't been careful with his money. He had made $100 million but didn't watch where it all went. He realized that his helpers had made choices without asking him. This was a big lesson for him to start taking care of his own money. During this bumpy time in his life, he met Kelly Preston. They first met while working on a movie that was never even shown. They became very close in 1989 because they shared the same beliefs. Their love helped John feel safe when his movies were not doing well. They got married in 1991 and stayed together until she passed away. John started picking movies that were more about family and heart. He made a small movie about a dad, a daughter, and a hurt dog. It wasn't a huge hit, but it showed how much he cared about family. His real life was becoming more quiet, and his movies showed that too. Looking back, there is one choice that he still regrets today. In 1986, he was asked to be the star of the movie Top Gun. He said no because he was afraid of heights, even though he liked planes. Tom Cruise took the part instead, and the movie was a giant success. John later said it was one of his biggest mistakes in his career. Then came the famous movie Pulp Fiction in 1994. The famous dance scene was hard to film because John was very tired. During one scene, his finger slipped on a fake gun and he accidentally shot someone. The actor stayed in character and kept going even though it was a mistake. The director liked it so much that he kept it in the movie. John even hurt his foot during filming and his scream was real pain. That movie became a huge classic that everyone still talks about today. In 1995, he played a cool guy named Chili Palmer in Get Shorty. He used stories from real bad guys he knew to make the part better. The movie was a hit, and John won awards for his great acting. He was so good that the director changed the story just to fit him. But that same year, something very scary happened while he was flying. The power and the tools on his private jet stopped working in the dark sky. He couldn't see anything and his radio didn't work to call for help. Another plane had to fly near him to show him where the ground was. He had to land very fast in an emergency, and it was a very close call. He doesn't talk about it much, but it was almost the end of his life. 2 years later, he made a movie where he and another actor swapped faces. It took 8 hours every day to put on all the special makeup. The artists had to glue every single hair and use tiny motors on their faces. The two actors sometimes didn't even know who was who under the masks. The movie made a lot of money, but it was very hard on their skin. John worked very hard to make sure the strange story felt real to fans. Soon after, he was asked to be in the movie Titanic. It would have been huge, but he said no because his wife was pregnant. He wanted to stay home and be a good dad to his new son, Jet. It was a quiet choice he made for his family that most people didn't know. Then he made a choice he would later wish he hadn't. In 2000, he spent $20 million of his own money on a space movie. The movie cost a lot of money to make, but very few people went to see it. People said it was a very bad movie, and John even won an award for being the worst. It became a famous example of a star making a movie that nobody liked. In 2001, he played a bad guy in a movie called Swordfish. He even flew a helicopter himself for a dangerous part of the movie. People told him it was risky, but John wanted to do it anyway. The movie was a hit, and people talked a lot about his flying skills. But nothing was as hard as what happened in 2009. His son Jet died while the family was on a vacation in the Bahamas. The family was very heartbroken and sad for a long time. Later, a man tried to trick John into giving him millions of dollars. During the trial, John had to talk about trying to save his son's life. The whole world saw how much he was hurting as a father. When he was in the movie Hairspray, he brought a lot of joy to people. He had to wear a lot of makeup to play. Why a funny and kind mother. The movie was a big success and fans loved seeing him happy again. He was trying to be happy for the movie while feeling sad in real life. He also made a funny movie about four men on motorcycles. It made a lot of money and was a very fun movie for families to watch. John did his own bike tricks and even had a small crash during filming. The actors became real friends and rode their bikes together for fun. In 2010, something good finally happened for his family. After losing Jet, John and Kelly had a new baby boy named Benjamin. The new baby helped the family start to feel happy and heal again. John also used his big plane to fly food and help to people in need. Helping others became a big part of what he did with his time. Years later, he went back to TV to play a famous lawyer. He changed his look and studied how the man talked and moved. The show came out in 2016 and everyone said he did a great job. John was nominated for a big award and showed he was still a great actor. In 2018, he made a movie about a famous boss of a crime family. The movie had a lot of trouble and many people did not like it at all, but John said he was happy he made it because it was important to him. Even by 2025, he still says he does not regret making that film. The hardest part came in 2020 when his wife Kelly died of cancer. John wrote very sweet things about her online for everyone to see. He said her last words were for him to keep being happy and joyful. On her birthday in 2025, he shared a video of him singing for her. That same year, he dressed up as Santa Claus for a funny commercial. At 71, he danced with 50 other people under very bright lights. The commercial was shown during a big parade and fans loved it. It proved that he still has that special spark he had many years ago. Through all of this, 2025 had some fake stories saying he had died. He showed everyone he was fine by posting pictures of his normal life. He still flies his big plane to help people who are in trouble. He still helps young actors learn how to do their jobs well. He is still working, still moving, and still being a star.